When we started to explore the B2B blockchain accelerator idea, we had so many conversations and everyone was asking one question. What are the real-world use cases in B2B blockchain? Hi, my name is Violeta Chekan, or VC. So I am a venture capitalist indeed. So I have 12 years in startups and early stage investing. And I'm currently a founder and also managing partner of Vis Caeli. And together with Igniteers, and here we have also our amazing team as well here, we are launching a B2B blockchain accelerator, which we will talk a little bit more later. I would like to highlight our amazing partners. We have amazing partners for this conference. So I would like to highlight VNTR Capital, that is the biggest investors community, Off-Chain Global, which is also Web3 community, Web3 Hub that is launched by Unicorn Factory Lisbon, Nova School of Business and Economics and Innovation Ecosystem, Epic Web3, Startup Portugal, and 351 Portuguese startup associations. Just would like several words about why we actually decided to do this event, because when we started to explore the B2B blockchain accelerator idea with my amazing partners, we had so many conversations and everyone was asking the one question: what are the use cases and real world use cases in B2B blockchain? So that's we've been answering to this question all the time, and we decided, why don't we just showcase amazing startups and real applications of blockchain in the world. So this is amazing. That is amazing session, whereas we can highlight very amazing speakers as well. And we have today, yes, 5 different use cases. So we have Humanos tech and healthcare, Take Carbon and Energy, Sensefinity, ValuesCo, Rarible. We also have amazing panel that will be moderated by Nate Gaia from Meanbase, also Crypto Oracle, Consensys, and 500 Global, and Pricewaterhouse. So the speakers will be joining us during the different time slots. So that will be amazing session. And I would like also to highlight our partnership, and I would like to highlight Filipe, that is my partner right now in crime. Yes, so and they are also Anna, that also been so much helping in our organization. Anna, can you make a little like waving so people will know and recognize you? So yeah, it was a lot of work to do this and to put together everything. And I would like to now move forward with the presentation of Vis Catalyst and give the word to my partner, Filipe.
Thank you so much, Violeta, and thank you so much for everyone to be here. I'm going to try to be short, okay? But I just want to have this opportunity to explain a little bit more what is this Vis Catalyst and what you're doing, what you're trying to promote in this conference. And first of all, again, talking about the team, of course, Sensefinity here, part of the Igniteers team, and me partnering up with Violeta, basically both of these companies, Vis Caeli and Igniteers, are here trying to demystify a bit more about what is blockchain, how we can use blockchain technology to support corporates to innovate. So basically, this is what you're doing. And about us a little bit more about this, we are here to demystify what you're doing, to try to understand better how we can put this technology of blockchain inside the corporates, how the corporates can use startups to use this technology. So basically, this is what you're trying to do. And this accelerator is a clear path for us to in somehow support corporates using the the startups. And I'm going to deep dive a bit more on details on what we are doing. So basically, we are here focusing on two major things. Okay, we want to accelerate startups and founders' growth. So basically, this is what you're doing and prepare them for investment phase. So here we are basically have three main goals for this blockchain accelerator. We are going to kick off in Q4 2024. This is our main goal to launch the program, and we want to do here three major things. First of all, we want to connect all the ecosystem for innovation. We want to have startups connected to investors, connecting to the corporates, connecting to the industry, and how we can put blockchain in the center of this. And Vis Catalyst Accelerator is the place where we can put everyone talking together, working together to accelerate innovation through the adoption of the blockchain technology, especially in this first track we are trying to produce in B2B cases. Okay, this is one thing we want to do, and of course, in the end, we want to prepare startups for this fast-paced growth, and the only way we can use this is preparing them for investment. And basically, our methodology is basing in three different pillars. So, in the first part of this accelerator, we are focusing on deep diving on blockchain technology. So, we are inviting a lot of different experts in this subject to teach them and to explain them how they can better refine their technology in terms of architecture, security, and how they can apply this technology for the corporate use cases. In the second step of this accelerator, we are going to focus on product development, because startups here are working a bit on how you can say this in an expression more interesting, like in thin heights, because it's a new thing. Blockchain is new. It's quite new. So especially corporates, don't know how to operate on this. So basically, we want to understand better how we can grow their products, okay, using design thinking experience, metric analysis, user experience, and how we can do this market fit for the side of the corporate. So how we can put corporates together with startups and see how they can match the product development for the needs of the corporate. And then in the end, in the third phase of the accelerator program, we're going to focus on growth. So basically, we're going to find solutions, find strategies to support startups to do financial planning, marketing strategies, specifically for the Web3 sector. And of course, for the startups, we are looking here for startups in a pre-seed or seed stage with at least a POC. Okay, so this is the basic rule of entry for us. Okay, and then of course you also are looking here for startups who are in a way they already have an MVP, but they want to validate, want to test it, they want to start making questions with some of the experts we have, some of the corporates we have in the program, and they can have expert support on this. And I believe this is probably one of the most important parts, is startups who are looking for increase or to boost their sales pipeline. Because we have in this program, again, we are trying to put together all the ecosystem. So we're going to have corporates involved, we're going to have a lot of investors involved, also experts in this area involved, and all of them can support you not just only in finding the right people for you to reach out, but also supporting you on to grow and to create strategies for you improve your sales pipeline. So basically, this is what you're looking for, and in the end, of course, if it's possible, to close some pilot with the corporate partners we have inside the program. So this is the benefits we are highlighting here on the program. Of course, there is a lot of benefits, but I think it's the four most important ones. First of all, of course, access to this investors network for pre-seed funding. So we are going to give them access to a lot of network in this area. The second benefit is we're going to accelerate market entry. Like I was saying before, our three main pillars of startup accelerating is basically for this main purpose goal, to accelerate the market entry of the startups, and then of course giving them the opportunity to have access to experts to refine and test the MVP, and in the end, of course, here the access to experts and networking in specifically of the blockchain and Web3 areas. And of course, for this, it's only possible if we have our network. This is an example of four mentors. We have, for example, Stefan. It's a CTO and co-founder of Gnosis. We have Carlo Liberati, he's head of business and development of Wallet Connect. Jose Padilla, from managing attorney from Padilla Law, and Pedro Almeida, a VC investor from MLR, among many other experts we have. Right now, I believe, and Violeta can correct me, something around 30 mentors we have in the program already with us. So it will be an amazing program. It will be an amazing opportunity for you startups to have access to all of this network, all of this knowledge. And of course, we have also for the corporates, and I will here ask Violeta to keep up on this. Okay, Violeta. Now you can jump in.
Thank you so much, Filipe, for this. So moving forward, so we believe that also like blockchain disruption will come actually from the startups to corporate world. So that's why we have this conference today, and we would like also to highlight that we work together with corporates, and why corporates actually need to work with the blockchain technology and with startups, and why actually now is the right time is because blockchain technology is actually changing the way how we interact, transact, and monetize as a society. It's a new computing platform. So already talking about like the advantages, for example, we see a lot of different changes on the market. So there is a generational shift and consumer shift, right? So the Gen Z and millennials, they demand a digital first solutions, and they also require the ownership over the personal data because they became much more informed comparing to the other consumers. Obviously, the economic efficiency is always pressuring to look for more cost-effective solutions, and of course the rise of AI. So rise of AI is really bringing the need for verifiable data and proof of authenticity in AI-driven interactions. And blockchain has all of these like advantages to cover this, and not only the challenges that corporates might have. So it's a security and trust, of course. So decentralization enhances this by eliminating central points of failure, transparency and traceability, because it's verifiable transactions records, and it's also provides blockchain also provides real-time the tracking of the assets. Obviously, cost reduction. So smart contracts streamline the processes, thus reducing the time and costs. And also, a blockchain reduces the costs associated with fraud and errors. Great accountability, of course, because the data is verifiable, so every action can be traced back to its origin. Consumer empowerment, as we talked about the data ownership over like the personal data. And of course, it's something that is very interesting, that blockchain can also provide new business models, which we already see on the market. So corporates can create new revenue streams and interact with new consumers much different than they did before in their offerings. And moving forward, so just to highlight very quickly some of our advantages for the corporates, of course, that is amazing possibility to tackle innovation challenges together with startups. So working together on something innovative, that is something that we provide as the main value. And well, we are going to launch the program in quarter 4. So join us. So here is the link, and I would like to finish with some of quote from Andrew Grove. So I don't know if you know him, but he was ex-CEO in Intel, and it's actually one of the best business leaders. So if you don't know him, please check out, especially his business book, Only the Paranoid Survive. That's my favorite book, to be honest. So I read when I was like 16 years old, one of the first business books that I read. So take a bit of the future and make it your present. So that's with this phrase, I would love to move to our use cases. So please welcome right now Pedro Andrade, so CEO and co-founder of Humanos Tech. So tackling the healthcare challenges in data. So Pedro.
Hi everyone, so at Humanos what we're doing is we are eliminating the pain in personal health data sharing, and we are using blockchain to allow for this to happen. So basically what happens is that our health data is our most valuable asset because it says everything about our past and pretty much about our future. And the only way we as individuals can retrieve some of the value from our health data is if we share it with third parties like doctors, pharmacies, labs, etc. will give us a better service for having access to our data. Yet, the way we share our personal health data is completely broken. Despite the data being digital, we still share it in a very analogical way with papers and CDs and faxes. And the difficulty in health data sharing, in fact, is inducing roughly 20% of the global mortality rate according to McKinsey. So McKinsey, they did a study and they found out that if people could easily share their personal health data with doctors, we could have avoided 13.4 million deaths just last year. And the reality is that this issue is just going to get even worse with AI, because with AI, the quality of the result depends on the quality of the data you share with the machine. And if you want to get some personalized results in healthcare, you need to be able to share your personal health data set without sacrificing your control and privacy over your data. But the reality is that centralizing all data in a unique database is not viable because of operation and incentive related reasons. So we need a solution that allows people to share their health data in a fully decentralized ecosystem, which is the one we have right now, where each hospital has their own database and the database don't communicate between each other. And we are building this solution. Basically, what we're doing is we are building a platform that allows anyone to give consent to a doctor for him to visualize the data they own that's or in another hospital. Basically, what we do is we collect the consent. We with our smart contract verifies it as true and that it was given by someone that has been KYC. That consent is automatically communicated via API with the databases of the hospitals where the data is. Then the doctor will receive the original consent. He can visualize the data that's stored in the database at the other hospital in a remote way, directly in his computer. We don't keep or own any data. We are just intermediaries of permissions and consents. And the reality is that every time someone gives a consent to a doctor, that consent is registered on the blockchain, ensuring that there's a log that is immutable and cannot be erased, and that allows for full transparency of ensuring that who shared what for how long and who saw what, and everyone can know exactly what that was seen anytime they want to do that. And we have already signed contracts with almost 100 partners, including 70 hospitals, several apps, platforms, labs, medical device manufacturers. We are also working closely with Bayer, and all these contracts allow us to serve over 200,000 individuals. But we have some good news. We are now preparing to sign contracts with the largest hospitals in Portugal, which will ensure that this year, 2024, almost 5 million people will be able to share their personal health data through us with any healthcare provider, private or public, they wish to do so. So our platform is fully web-based. This is just a mock-up we have here, but if you're interested, we can do you a demo on another call. Yeah, it's fully web-based, meaning that for a doctor to be able to visualize someone's data, they just have to open our website. They select the data they want to see. They input the person's data, the ID card number, for example. Then with the ID card and the card reader, they insert the ID card in the card reader that's registered as a consent, which is then registered on the blockchain. The consent is communicated via API with the databases where our system is installed, and then that unlocks the visualization on the other side, which is roughly what this doctor wants to see. So he wants to see the X-ray. He selected he wants to see the X-ray. He got the consent. The consent was communicated, and that unlocked the visualization. So we are also building this in a way to ensure that also apps that aren't interacting face to face with individuals can also request for that access. So this is very useful for telemedicine, for example. And basically, what we're doing is ensuring that people can share their health data, and that consent is enabled by blockchain, ensuring that the control and privacy of the individual over his data is always assured. Basically, what we're doing is we know that in healthcare, the outcome that matters the most is the individual one. Did the person die? Did the person survive? Is the person still sick? Is the person cured? But the reality is that since businesses and healthcare providers are a bit afraid of GDPR, data is almost always used in a bulk and anonymized way, where basically players they join all the data points in a bulk way, and then they anonymize them and sell them to researchers and pharma companies. But the reality is that with blockchain, we can build a permission engine that allows us to turn the GDPR law into software, ensuring that only the parties that receive consent and access to data can really see it. And that consent is always given by the individual, which is the legal owner of the data. So our business model is the following. We have two types of entities. We have frontline entities, which are hospitals and clinics, pharmacies, and elderly care homes. So basically, the entities that do face to face with individuals. Okay, basically they pay a monthly subscription in order to have access to a limited amount of share seats. And for example, let's say that the clinic has 10 doctors. They pay the minimum amount, but if they have 11 doctors, they pay the minimum amount plus an extra fee for the seat for that extra doctor to be able to request consent to the individual and then visualize his data. A quick reminder, we don't store any data and any health data, we just manage the permissions, meaning that what these entities pay us for is basically to be able to get access to the tool that allows them to request consent to the individual to visualize their data that's stored somewhere else. Then we have a model that's focused on API calls, and it's more for what you call logistic entities. So entities that don't deal with individuals face to face, but also need to have access to data. And we know that health data is just the beginning. Basically, our core technology is having a wallet that's fully abstracted. The user doesn't interact with the wallet. It's a fully Web2 experience with a Web3 background. And the issue is, and the thing is that this wallet is connected to the identity card of the citizen, meaning that every single player that has to have data transferred from one point to the other, and for that data transfer to happen, it requires a consent from an individual. We are useful there because we ensure that every single time two separate entities want to ensure that data is seen. Let's say that you have entity A and entity B. If entity A wants to see the data in entity B database, and the owner of the data in entity B that database gives consent to the entity A for that data to be visualized, what happens is that we are useful there because we ensure that the consent is automatically communicated to entity B, and then the data is visualized on entity B. We built our solution on a fully bootstrap way, and we are ready to launch in roughly 2 months. We are now finishing the integrations with the first hospitals. In terms of front end and back end, it's fully built. Our smart contract is fully built. We are working at Polygon, and so yeah, things are going real well. And let's see what happens next. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's amazing presentation, Pedro. Amazing. So we have actually some minutes. So maybe people have some questions. So if anyone has question, you have here the hand in down, so you can raise the hand.
Pedro, great presentation. One of the nicest use cases that's emerging. So quite good to hear it. And regarding the idea of data, just because we spoke yesterday, can you please clarify the idea of non-custodial data? So you don't own data, you keep people. Everyone has their own data stored on their own wallet, and they allow for that data to be used. So can you please elaborate on that a bit?
Thank you for the question, Filipe. So basically, we have two types of data of wallet and data abstraction. So the data is always stored at the hospital databases, okay? And we don't copy the data, we don't extract any of that data, okay? We just allow for the other hospitals to visualize the data that's stored in the other databases, okay? Without extracting or copying or altering or deleting anything. And people, they always keep inside their wallet all the logs with all the details of the consent and what that was seen, for how long was it seen, who saw the data, and they can also remove consent whenever they want to remove that consent. It's a new concept to do things this way, but it was the best way for us to ensure that GDPR is always complied with, because that's the key. Because the reality is that GDPR is the most Web3 friendly law in the world, because it ensures that, okay, your data is yours, and you have the right to control it, and you have the right to share it with whoever you want. And that's honestly, that's the basis of Web3. So the reality is that by doing things this way, ensuring that everyone keeps their data, individuals, they keep the logs of what was shared, and hostels keep the data of the people. It's not legally theirs, but they collect it, so they keep it. Okay, we can ensure that everyone feels safer, and we can build a business model that can scale much faster and without as many costs, because we also don't have any cost with storage, so that's, and for us, if we were going to store the health data, man, that would be crazy. That would be like super expensive. Because look, every single person in the world will have at least 100 gigabytes of health data, of personal health data, and that's now, before even AI and genetics kick off. So maybe in the future, maybe in 2 years, it will be 1 tera, like in then 1 petabyte. I don't know, man, but storing all that it would be super expensive for us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pedro. It's amazing presentation, and so everyone connect with Pedro. Yes, he's amazing entrepreneur. And moving forward, so we have Andrew. So Andrew Berkowitz. So this will be the use case in media sector. So amazing company, ValuesCo. So please, I think you can share the screen if you have a presentation, and move forward.
Thank you so much. And I want to apologize to everybody. I'm coming off a crazy week at Consensys in Austin, Texas, and I came back pretty sick. But I am feeling a little bit better, but still a bit stuffy. So if you can't hear me or can't understand me, I'm sorry. I can't help you. I'm here. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I'm really excited for this presentation. Really grateful to be here, and it's a really important topic. It's very pertinent, both with this broader kind of what's happening in the Web3 ecosystem, but also what's happening with kind of media, entertainment, and just new consumption habits. And over the past, let's say, like 6 months, I'm sure most people here have seen, or at least aware of, somewhat of a reckoning in the media space. Just massive layoffs. Vice went bankrupt. A ton of media publishers that have been around for a long time are consolidating, are getting bought, are going bankrupt. There's a ton of consolidation happening in the industry, and really the core of all of it is this new reality that we're living in how young people are consuming media. There was a really good article published in Vogue Business probably like 3 or 4 months ago now, titled "Gen Z Broke the Marketing Funnel." And so we used to be in this world where, as a brand, as a marketer, you're able to just take your budget, allocate it top of funnel, put it into programmatic, put it into television commercials, and it would just kind of trickle down into customers, and it would generally work. And now, we've been kind of slowly entering into this new era of digital native media and social media. And COVID, I think, is something that really accelerated these trends in a really powerful way. And now we're, I would say, officially in this new era of much more niche media. At ValuesCo, kind of given this broader shift in society, what we're building is a purpose-driven marketing platform that enables brands to align directly with this new media consumption habit of Gen Z and millennial consumers, and really meet them where they're at in a way that feels authentic, which I think is one of the hardest shifts for brands to make into this new world of TikTok, Instagram, X, where, this is where the next generations of consumers are consuming their media. It's fully circumventing the traditional media consumption funnel. Obviously, we went from TV to radio to the internet, but even in that first kind of Web 2.0 wave, before social media really caught on at a mass level, there were still, quote unquote, gatekeepers of, whoever that might be, New York Times, Washington Post, Time Magazine. And now we're in this much more dynamic world where everybody is hyper curating their own feed. And it's very hard for these legacy media publishers to reach audiences in a way that still works. And then by function of that, it's hard for brands to reach them in a way that actually works. And so this is kind of this new world that we're in. Some of these points at the bottom are still a little early, but this is the future. This is the world that we're moving into. Ownership is going to be on chain. Media is social, and creation is going to be AI driven. And so this is the new world of media. And the brands that fail to adapt to this new world are not going to make it. We're seeing a ton of these legacy brands, even ones that are sitting on a ton of cash. Their fundamentals in their core business is not looking great. Whereas you have these kind of new challenger brands that are, like Rare Beauty, which is Selena Gomez's beauty brand, Liquid Death. These companies are really born in a social native environment, and they've been able to thrive by being able to kind of, from birth, meet consumers where they're at and kind of circumvent this traditional media funnel. So at ValuesCo, the way we're helping brands kind of align with these trends is we built a gamified platform that enables brands to inspire their customers to take action towards large impact goals that they truly care about. And so this is a much more co-creative, social native form of marketing. And the way the platform works is brands fund a reward pool. They set an impact goal that they want to achieve with their customers. We've done campaigns around climate. We've done campaigns around mental health. We're doing a lot coming up that will have some big announcements around civic engagement, which I know a lot of this audience probably is more Europe-centric, but we have a big hairy thing happening in the US this November, and there's a lot at stake, and a lot of brands are a little skittish or nervous about how they should position themselves in that. And so we're, able to provide them a more authentic solution. And so this is the user journey. Users discover a campaign on social media. Every campaign that we do has some sort of creator buy that's attached to the campaign. So as an example, we launched a campaign for Time Magazine last quarter that had about 70 creators, including Mark Ruffalo and Adrian Grenier. These creators are taking actions within the campaign on social media and then linking to the campaign page. And so this is one of the core ways that traffic and users are discovering the campaign, being driven to the action page. Then users take action, they earn points, they redeem those points for prizes. All of the blockchain Web3 stuff is abstracted underneath the hood. So the point system is on chain. We leverage digital collectibles. NFTs is a bad word nowadays, and so they're digital collectibles that users are earning. And then we have prizes, which is one of the ways for brands to integrate into these campaigns, which are either entries to win a sweepstake prize, donating your points, or receiving product rewards. So users are taking action, they're earning points, they're redeeming the points or prizes, and then they're prompted to share to social media to earn extra points. And this is really kind of the secret sauce of our platform, but also this is the full kind of transition where the old world of media was top down. We tell the audience how it is and they take it, and that's it. This new world of media is a much more fireside chat like cadence between a brand and their consumer, a publisher and their audience, and a nonprofit and their stakeholder. And so what's required in this new world is creating a flywheel of user-generated content. And what that does is it turns brand-driven storytelling into consumer-driven storytelling. And so peer-to-peer marketing and consumer-driven storytelling is the future of media and is the best way for brands to reach new customers in a way that's authentic. Especially Gen Z, as a consumer, they trust their peers. They trust the creators that they follow. And that's how they learn about new products. And that's how they make their purchasing decisions. And so it's really important as a brand, as a company, that you're creating these kind of flywheels of user-generated content, because that's how users are consuming their media. And so an example that I kind of mentioned before that I can walk through of how this works. Time Magazine launched a campaign on our platform. They had over 100 partners participating, 9 brands, 17 nonprofits, and over 70 creators. And the result of this campaign is we took what was a $200,000 campaign spend, and we were able to deliver back a little over $1 million in media and advertising value. And we were able to do that through the 22,000 UGC posts that happened within the campaign. And so this is kind of the power of these UGC flywheels, and kind of creating these user-generated content moments. Another example that we launched last year, this is a surfing company actually headquartered in the Netherlands. Starboard leveraged our platform to incentivize their customers to participate in beach and ocean cleanup campaigns. They were able to incentivize 770,000 pounds of trash cleaned up from the ocean, and their customers planted 14,000 mangrove trees. So we had the kind of top line impact goal that was achieved. And then we were able to deliver about 3.2x in terms of the media and advertising value relative to the campaign spend. So within what we do, we take a coalition building approach to these campaigns. So even when we have kind of one core brand that's running a campaign on our platform, we'll empower that brand to build a coalition around their campaign that does consist of nonprofits, potentially other brands, and then creators. So this is kind of a more blown up visual of what the product looks like. This is kind of the core action experience that users land on. So they see actions they can take within these campaigns to earn points. There's different process flows for users completing the action. Our bread and butter is in real life action, which is like the UGC flywheel. So users would click on an action, upload a photo of them completing the action, and then share it to social to earn the points. And this is kind of the ability for us to create that flywheel. And our platform also enables different quizzes, different forms, gamifying the consumption of media, which we found super helpful for a lot of our publisher partners. And then finally, the ability to organize as a user and really create these kind of peer-to-peer moments of marketing and action. So that's about it. I can keep talking if you would like, or I don't know if you want me to take some questions from the audience. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe some questions from the audience. That would be amazing.
Cool.
So you can raise a hand and ask the question. So anyone? Okay, there is one.
Andrew, this was super helpful. Thanks for the presentation. I do have a question for you. I wonder, what is the driving motive that you're coming across with brands when it comes to this? Like, what are they trying to accomplish first and foremost? Are they trying to drive more impressions on existing campaigns, lower return on ad spend? What are those key motivators? I think that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I would say top line, the key motivator that we keep finding is everybody is struggling to engage Gen Z consumers. Brands don't understand what they want. They don't understand how to message to them. And so the ability to kind of leverage our platform to reach them in a way that actually works is something that both the brands that we're working with are really interested in, but also the media publishers. Because as I mentioned, and I'm sure as you know, Jose, like there's just this massive shift in how media is able to reach consumers. Like we went from TV, radio to then internet and then streaming, and now streaming is oversaturated. And so like there's this kind of constantly moving goalpost. And it's really a difficult thing to like make a large investment and like say, okay, we're going to build out like this infrastructure for the next like 5 years, right? Whereas it's pretty clear that social media has kind of won over this next generation in how they're consuming media. And so now everyone is struggling and figure out, okay, like given that reality, how do we make investments to reach these consumers where they're at? So I think that's a big one. And then I think the other one I would say is like yeah, this is so like impact as like a topic. Oh, interesting. I don't know what I just did. That's cool. So like impact as a topic is something that I think a lot of brands feel like they want to talk about, but are scared, whether it's like greenwashing or they don't want to like come off as inauthentic, and like ESG has become a controversial topic in the US and in markets. And so this question of like, how are we leveraging purpose and impact and like kind of talking about climate change or things like that in a way that feels more authentic to customers? I think that's something that everyone's struggling with, and something that we've been able to prove out that our platform can do in a way that feels authentic. And then again, it's like moving away from brand driven storytelling to consumer driven storytelling with all these kind of UGC flywheels that our platform is able to create. So yeah, hope that wasn't too long of a ramble.
Awesome. I have another question from the chat. Is this similar to Zilli, QuestIn, and other quest-based marketing platforms already existed in Web3?
Most quest-based marketing platforms in Web3 seem to be focused on take a crypto native action to earn a reward. Whereas what we focus on, as you could kind of see with the product, like if I didn't tell you our gamified app was built on chain, you would have never known. And so all of the actions that we do are really focused on kind of in real life impact actions. And so like example with the Time Magazine campaign we did, some of the flagship actions were like start your compost at home or show off your compost at home, try a vegan meal, do a clothing swap with your friends, all sorts of different sustainability actions that are getting people to create content in the real world and take impactful action. And that is really the focus of our platform as a questing platform, which is very different than most other kind of quest platforms in the Web3 space. And yes, our platform is right now on Celo, Polygon, and Solana. And we're looking to be, I mean, we could deploy very easily on any EVM-based chain. And yes, we're looking to build multi-chain.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We already ran out of time. So it's amazing, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining and presenting your company. And everyone, please connect directly. Also, I see that lots of people are with no camera. So I would actually encourage right now for another activity and also to put on the cameras. Let's do something very interesting. So virtual scavenger hunt. So you need to find something at wherever you are, like in the office or at home, it doesn't matter. You need to find some object that is associated with blockchain or technology. All right. So we will listen right now the next two presentations. Okay. So you will have about like 40 minutes to find this object. Okay. And then we need to present everyone what have you find, just to show. So we will not obviously like spend a lot of time on that, but it will be very interesting to see what everyone will be having in their home office associated with blockchain and technology. All right. So, and now we are moving forward with amazing use case, and we have here Jose Anaya from that is who is head of Web3 partnerships in Rarible.
Thank you, Violeta. Grateful to be here and appreciate the invite. I'm going to share my screen and go through a couple of slides here with everyone. Decided to title this presentation, NFTs are not dead, in case you were wondering. I think there's been speculation about that recently, but I'm hopeful that I'll be able to crush some of that speculation after going through this deck. So yeah, I mean, before we fully dive in, again, I'm a the head of BD at Rarible, but wanted to give an overview of what Rarible is exactly. We've been an OG marketplace, NFT marketplace. If I guess, I don't know if 5 years qualifies as OG, I think in Web3, 5 years is like literally 20 years. So I guess we're self-proclaimed OGs, and we're also cross-chain, multi-chain marketplace. We've got assets on our marketplace across multiple blockchains. We've also architected NFT infrastructure that is being widely used by both brands and blockchains that are really looking to jumpstart and accelerate NFT development on their chain. So yeah, I mean, when you think of anything NFTs, we're essentially able to power it, and we're trying to really hone in on being that engine that can enable the next generation NFT use cases. So with a little bit of background, just wanted to definitely emphasize that we're just getting started. It's crazy how, you know, even 10 years into crypto holistically, you can still feel like you're early. There's so much opportunity, and I think it keeps everybody on their toes. So it's a little bit of background. I joined crypto Web3 in 2017 during the ICO craze, and I literally thought I had to join in late at that point. So if you're still on the fence about whether or not to get in, I don't know if it helps with 7 years after, it still feels pretty early. But I think there's a really bright future ahead. Year 2030, I think we could envision really internet users embracing NFTs as a form of identity, a form of expression, a form of creativity, and I think just a form of presence of how they show up on the internet. I think in a digital way, right now, and we really, heard from Andrew how Gen Z has completely flipped the way that brands should be thinking about engagement in a social space. I think NFTs have a lot of potential and have already been shifting the way consumers can interact. And it's definitely not something you want to miss. We feel like it's going to come as a wave. It's been coming in few little waves, but when that big wave comes, we want to make sure brands are ready to embrace it and ride that wave. So as far as where are we now, just wanted to share my take on the NFT industry at the moment. What I've observed is that there's so many brands kind of dipping their toes in NFTs, and we've seen a lot of brand initiatives come and go, let's face it. And I think it's part of that natural early adopter phase where some things are going to work, other things are not going to work. I think what's been encouraging is that for brands that have tried something, they haven't left entirely, and they're trying to find new and iterative ways of coming back and trying something new. And so with that appetite, I feel like comes a lot of opportunity that we're definitely going to help brands maximize. There is still, though, high entry to barrier, and this really is manifested across UX. I think there's still a lot of Web3 native experiences out there. I would argue many companies are still building for a Web3 audience instead of a Web2 audience. And I even get really frustrated by some that are maybe a little bit too tribal, I'll put it that way, where you really have to be what they call degen or super Web3 to even adopt it. It kind of feels exclusive. It's like, okay, we get it. You're smart. You know about blockchain. Fine. But just because you're cool and you know about it doesn't mean everybody else is going to use it. And so I think that there definitely needs to be a bit of a reality check. And we hear a lot about account abstraction, which again is a fancy word for saying that we're going to make it very Web2 friendly. And so putting all the fancy words aside, I think there's just so much opportunity here for us to meet users where they are and offer them an experience that is very intuitive for them. There's still a bit of a focus, and there's subcultures within the NFT space that are focused on a quick gain and making money by flipping NFTs. We don't want to create that as sort of a standard. I think if anything, that was the early innings of NFTs, but it's really evolved into more than that. And the community is catching on, which is great. I think the challenge we are seeing as well is that there's major marketplaces, including Rarible, that are one-size-fits-all marketplaces. So if you're a big brand and you're wanting to do something with NFTs, aligning with just a one-size-fits-all marketplace may not be the best way to deliver and engage your consumer set, right? So you probably want to be looking for something a little bit more custom. And this is actually paving the way for what I'm going to talk about in a bit. And then lastly, I think there's just a need for sustainability, and these points I feel are really going to help drive that forward. So if you were to ask me who will bring the next million people into Web3, my answer would be games, loved brands, and rewards. I ended up putting in parentheses what I think is core to human behavior. Games, because people are looking and will always look for entertainment. That's a timeless human desire. Loved brands, because a timeless human desire is wanting to be associated with cool things. Why do you wear Gucci, Prada, you name it? You want to be associated with the status of that particular brand. And some people might just buy an NFT simply for the status. Why would they want to buy a Bored Ape? Status and association. And then rewards. People are always looking for what's in it for me. What am I going to gain? What am I going to get out of this? And so the brands that deliver the best on either of these categories, in my opinion, are going to be the ones that are really going to help bring the most people into Web3 and benefit tremendously along the way. Now, if we look into the NFT opportunity specifically, I would argue that NFTs are new expressions of products. So right now, if you think of a product, let's say Adidas shoes, for instance, an expression of it can be a physical Adidas shoes. Another expression of it could be in the metaverse, it could be actual like shoes on your avatar, or as in Roblox specifically, Adidas ended up breaking a record. They had an item sell for 20,000, and it was a user-generated item. This chain with like Adidas shoes on it, really cool, right? So there's different expressions of brand products, and we think that's just going to continue growing. And NFTs offer a really unique opportunity to express your products and your brand in new and different ways. On that note, it's really going to keep expanding product horizons. And revenue sources. You're going to see in some of the use cases here we've had with brands that they've been able to generate net new revenue they hadn't unlocked before. We're going to look at new consumer experiences and benefits. And also, I want to highlight here, consumer transferability. If you have a consumer that is attached and pegged to one particular platform, like TikTok, for instance, what happens when that platform goes away? Where else do you meet that customer? How do you ensure that you have an identifier in a way that is decentralized, that can move anywhere, and you engage that consumer wherever they go? I think this could be a really cool use case for brands. And lastly, NFTs don't have to be called NFTs. Just wanted to put that out there. You can call it digital collectibles. It's going to have different names, so don't just call it for that, in my opinion. With that, we've been able to introduce Rarible X, which has been a product that is very much brand aligned and aligned with everything that I've been discussing so far. One of our partners has been Mattel. For those Hot Wheels Barbie fans out there, we've been able to work with them directly. What they did, in very simple terms, they took their products and they created an expression of their products on chain through NFTs. And people loved them. They wanted to buy them, and they ended up seeing amazing results. Literally in less than a year, they ended up generating over $1 million in revenue, net new revenue they hadn't seen before through NFTs. We ended up creating a whole custom storefront and experience for them on chain and helping them sell their digital collectibles. And they ended up seeing tremendous engagement. One thing that I wanted to highlight, people didn't have to break the bank, piggy bank, to buy an item. Average transaction ended up being $9. And I think that shows also the power of Web3 and NFTs. They're not just these like premium, super high priced items. And then McFarlane Toys has been another brand we've been able to work with. They, of course, similar to Mattel, they have toys, collectibles, and they also ended up generating over $1 million in sales in less than a year of launching with us. Definitely really cool opportunity. Because we have many users as well, we were able to help them tap into a new consumer set and be able to attract users from Web3. So how do we make it happen? We create brand experiences that are really custom to them. We ensure that it's a safe experience, that brands are not directing people to some platform where they're going to come across something not safe for work, or you name it, right? Or some scam NFT. And so we want to make sure we keep them in a very safe environment, and we're able to do that. And of course, we give that brand full ownership in a one-stop shop instead of having to source tools and kind of figure it out on their own and work with like 10 different vendors, when literally they could work with Rarible and we could offer them everything in one place. We've already launched over 5,000 marketplaces for brands, projects, you name it. And again, we're just getting started. So there's my email, there's my Telegram handle at the top. If you want to get in touch and explore opportunities, let me know.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So questions. We have time for questions.
Hello. I would like to know, what is the coolest project you've ever seen launch on Rarible?
That's a really good question. Okay, so I'm gonna have to think on that one for a minute. But I would say, if you were to ask me, put me on the spot right now, I think the coolest project that I've seen launch on Rarible so far, that we're gonna be launching with soon, is actually more of like a sports fantasy experience that is fully custom branded, customized for like a sports team, and allows its fan base to be able to engage in a fantasy-like experience. I think the reason why I like it so much is because it actually checks off every box that I mentioned. It checks off the gaming box, checks off the rewarding experience box, and the association. And I feel like they're like totally checking off each one of those boxes. And it's becoming a really good success and use case for it. Plus, people feel like no matter what happens to the platform, they feel that sense of trust, transparency, and they're able to take whatever they've earned, whatever collectibles they have with them wherever they go, right? It's in their wallet, essentially. So I like that too, that it's not like the house always wins. In fact, because it's on chain, the house is kept accountable. And that's been a great thing to see.
All right, so thank you so much, Jose. This was amazing presentation, actually, and very good conversation as well. So thank you so much for sharing your project and also your experience. I think there is like amazing space, and it's really fascinating what you're doing. So we are moving forward. So we have a next speaker. So Victor, thank you so much for joining.
Hello, thank you very much, Violeta.
Hello, it's amazing to have you here. So if you have a presentation, you can make the demonstration, and yeah, we would love to hear what is Take Carbon.
Thank you very much for having me here today. I'm Victor Leitão, co-founder of Take Carbon, and I'm going to show you a little bit what we are doing and the applications of blockchain in the voluntary carbon market. So starting by the name of the company, is Take Carbon, because take means is bamboo in Japanese. So bamboo is a very efficient nature-based solution for carbon, and it brings many symbologies from many cultures. And as in blockchain, bamboos thrive in communities and are also formed by nodes. So that's what ensures their flexibility and strength. So by the way, we love the confusion when people say take carbon. Well, we are the first fee-based, fully decentralized platform for carbon credits. So our intention is to bring efficiency and reduction costs and transaction cost reduction to the voluntary carbon market through blockchain technology and DeFi and ReFi solutions. We have this B2B fee-based B2B business model. We are based in Brazil and Portugal. Brazil has the highest potential for carbon credits generation in the world, and Portugal is our entry to the European market, which has the highest demand from corporates. So what problems do we solve? In this first phase of our project, we eliminate the intermediaries who dominate this market, and they retain between 40 and 60% of market value. And this is not good for any market. And this is the first thing that we want to eliminate by connecting the carbon credits projects and the final consumers, those companies that want to offset their carbon footprint using carbon credits. We also address a very important issue in the market, which is created by the heterogeneity among carbon credits. There are more than 170 types of carbon credits in the market. So it results in pricing and scalability issues for platforms. So what what everybody is doing is choosing one type of carbon credits to operate, so they can achieve scalability and everyone is operating with carbon credits coming from forests because they are more abundant in the market. So I'm going to show you how we address this very important issue using technology. In the second phase, we will develop our decentralized autonomous organization as a way to finance carbon credits in a more fair way, because today is very leonine, the conditions are very leonine, and who finance a carbon credit project receives payment by getting 50% of the carbon credits generating for many years. So we believe that we can address this problem as well. So very, very quickly here, our value proposition for final consumer companies. We offer carbon credits with quality, security in transactions, and convenience. We offer them access to a diverse portfolio of carbon credits with different types, integrated co-benefits, geographies, and etc. And the market case I'm going to show you is going to demonstrate that the market is demanding that. And we are also, our tokens are also backed by live carbon credits. This is very important because it enhances the governance and transparency in the market. For the projects, we offer, we address some pains for them as well. We offer them liquidity with our CO2 tokens and opportunities for revenue maximization with our impact tokens. I'm going to explain a little bit better in the next slides. And we also offer opportunities for liquidity providers in the market, different types of investors, market makers, and etc., and easy and secure access to a pool of projects with risk dilution and passive income and other rewards as well. And of course, there is a creation of a secondary market that is not available today in the voluntary carbon market. So before I'll show you how we do that, I'm going to bring you a very recent and important case for the market, because it changed the way the companies are facing and are preparing their offsetting programs with carbon credits. It comes from Bain Company in the end of February, where they offset their scopes 1, 2, and 3 of the company using carbon credits from 8 different countries, and with 5 different types of carbon credits. This is very new in the market. This is it brought a new standard, a higher standard for companies, and this is what we offer to companies. Through our platform, we offer them the opportunity to, especially to multinational companies, to form and build a portfolio of diverse carbon credits from different countries, different types, different integrated co-benefits, and etc. And how we do that? Once we tokenize a carbon credit, we create 2 tokens. We separate the commodity side of the carbon credit, which is the CO2 token, and because one thing, I told you that there are many types of carbon credits, but they have one thing in common. One carbon credit represents 1 ton of equivalent CO2. So when we tokenize a carbon credit, we create the CO2 token, represent this commodity side, and is a fungible token that is going to be traded in our liquidity pool with a US stablecoin token as a pair. And all the scarcity, all the premium side of the project, all the special characteristics of that project are consolidated in the impact token. So and the impact token is traded in our impact marketplace, where the projects have the opportunity to create their sales campaigns. They can have an auction, they can sell tranches of carbon credits with different prices, etc. So why is that important for the project? With the CO2 token, they can get instant liquidity to address their short-term financial needs. And with the impact token, they have the opportunity to maximize their revenue. And why is that important to the market? Because by doing that, by separating and creating two tokens, we are the only platform that is able to operate with any type of carbon credit and any type of integrated co-benefit in the same platform, keeping the efficiency and with low transaction costs. And by receiving different types of projects in our platform, we can offer that diversity of assets to the final buyers, to the companies that are looking for quality and diverse carbon credits in one single place. So they can do this, any company can do the same Bain company did in February in a very secure and efficient way by using our platform. So once the investors can have access to the liquidity providers can have access to our liquidity pool, they can be part of this market by doing that, and in some situations they can have 50% of the fees generated by the liquidity pool. And once the company buys the CO2 token and the impact tokens from the projects they choose, they can burn the tokens and they will have the carbon credits retired in their name. So this is the governance scheme that we have. It's very similar to for example, US dollar collateralized stablecoin. So we have in the carbon credits registry system, in the Vera, for example, registry system, the projects has the account where the carbon credits are deposited, and once they tokenize the carbon credits with us, they transfer this carbon credits to a trust account, and so all the tokens that are in the market are collateralized by a live carbon credit. And once the company burns the token and because they want to offset the carbon footprint, we're going to give this information to the trust account that is going to retire the carbon credits in the name of the company. This is new in the market as well. So guys, this is what I wanted to present. I'm open to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for amazing presentation. So as always, so let's move to the questions. So are there questions from the audience?
First of all, Victor, thank you so much for this. Maybe not a question, a comment, or trying to understand a bit how. So you are doing this. You are operating, I believe, not only in the Portuguese market, but how are you looking for this, for example, for the energy industry? There is a lot of, especially for the oil and gas companies, they are trying to do this change for the more sustainable ways, but a lot of companies are selling the offset carbons and things like this. So how are you approaching them? How is your approach to them, explaining how this works? So what's been the most difficult thing you are facing while trying to sell this for corporates?
Well, you're right. You're correct. The energy companies, especially oil and gas companies, are very committed to decarbonization. We are speaking with big players in the Brazilian market and in the Portuguese market as well. I believe the first challenge that we have is their adoption of the technology. So this is the first challenge, because once we prove we show them business model and the quality standards that we operate with. They are very interested in developing this commercial partnership and relationship, but the adoption of Web3 solutions is a very important challenge, because as a decentralized operation, we don't make custody of any asset, so they have to do it by themselves. So this is the biggest challenge we're facing right now.
Thank you so much, Vitor, for this amazing presentation once again, and the answer to the question. So I think it's a time to move forward. So we are going to move to our next speaker. So I see that he is already here, so it's amazing. But before moving, so there was a virtual hunt. So we need to show the objects that we found. So there was. So it was the task to find the object that can be associated with blockchain or with technology. So I would ask people to actually have the camera on, so we can show the objects. So what people have been showing. So please do participate in this. And I will show mine. I have it here. So revealing. So what do we have here? Okay, so with the technology, okay. And what is, Jose, what is this? I'm just kind of curious. Can it be unmuted? Like, what is?
Yeah, I can't unmute myself. It's literally a massive mug that I have. Reason why I have, yeah, just for water, yeah.
But how is it associated with blockchain or?
Good question. Not to get too poetic, but liquidity is key to the blockchain.
Oh,
it's key to life. It's key to the blockchain. It's what keeps everything going. So we gotta have liquidity.
Awesome. So everyone else. So oh, come on, like don't be shy. Just to participate. All right. So I will just tell what is. So here is. So you might know this book. So no, it's not an advertisement, but I just really would love you to take attention also to some amazing leaders in Web3. So Chris Dixon, of course, like he is a partner in A16Z Crypto, and he just wrote this book. And I just actually finished this book. So it's a read, write, own. So if you want to know more about blockchain, or you just like a newcomer, or even like if you're not a newcomer, but you would like to understand a little bit more about the technology and what is Web3 actually means, so I would encourage you to check it out as well. So all right, so that was fun. So let's move to Sensefinity. That's amazing name, by the way. Armando, welcome.
Hello, hi. Nice having you here. So I'm Orlando, I'm co-founder and CEO of Sensefinity, and I'm here to present you a little bit about visibility in supply chains, how this is a problem, and how we can solve it using blockchain technology. Now, over 1/3 of all the food that we produce as of today is lost in supply chain. So if you imagine all the food that we are producing, all the food that we are transporting to the different countries, 1/3 of that is actually waste because the logistics process is not well enough maintained. And this is a huge challenge for current supply chains, which lack a lot of technology and are basically paper-based. And this is where the blockchain in supply chain can bring in a lot of value. So what our customers need in the agro, but not only in the agro food sector, but also in other supply chain areas, is really to have the visibility of what's going on in the entire supply chain of everything, every aspect. Now, this is a huge problem. So you have today people which are producing, harvesting the goods, Then there are steps to transform these goods into intermediary goods. Then you need to transport that, and then at the end you have the sales process and the retail. And all of this involves a lot of actors, and a lot of documentation needs to go through the different ways, and needs to be at certain points visible, but also on other points invisible to some of the actors. And this brings today a lot of problems with the visibility and the processes. Now, blockchain can help you a lot because it can bring the possibility for these actors to have trustable data which they can really rely upon. As today, most of this data is on paper. And it can also bring the aspect of being real-time, which is today not available as well. Now, having one blockchain where all the actors of the processes can rely upon to get this data is crucial. And it's really a problem that the blockchain can really easily solve, and where it is really the ideal solving mechanism, because it provides the interaction between the different actors, as well as the possibility to hide some of this data towards the visibility of these actors. So, for instance, we have here the production, the transformation, the retail, the logistics. All of them can share data. The production can today tell the transforming company when goods will be available. Transforming company can get the event of receiving that production into paying the batch that they received automatically upon receiving the production data. Retailers will be able to understand where the production was done. So they have, in Europe, there is this initiative for the digital product passport, which basically gives the need for the consumer to be aware of what the impact was of the goods which were produced. And this entire life cycle data can be visible, for instance, to the retailer or to the end user of these goods. But some other aspects, like, for instance, quality certificates can be stored on this blockchain as well. For instance, we are working with cattle management, and in cattle management, you have the veterinary records, which can be stored into the blockchain, and therefore provide you with the visibility of the health of this cattle, and also provide the transparency towards the end customer that they will get really quality food when they buy this. Now, this needs to be paired with oracles, and we provide the oracles by integrating IoT and IT systems into our blockchain, and this can then really lead to the enrichment of the quality of the data and provide industry grade quality. For instance, in the food industry, there is the need for health records to be reported towards authorities. It's called the HCCP. It needs to be auditable at any point in time, and we need to ensure that it is not tampered with. And this is really what the blockchain was built to be. A register where you can register this data, which cannot be changed, or if it's changed, you have at least an auditable record which indicates why this change occurred, so you can really inspect this. So this gives you the quality insurance for the goods which you are selling. Now, you can enrich this data with additional data, like, for instance, the data of the environmental impact. And this can be interesting for the consumer to get into this digital product passport. It's also an interesting area where we actually could natively integrate data coming from impact databases, or, for instance, some products like Take Carbon, which could directly feed into the system and provide the CO2 footprint of these goods, which for some consumers will be an an indication of how environmentally friendly these goods were produced. So this can be a plus for the customer to have this data inside their blockchain as well. So this can really be provided with this kind of system. And basically what it provides, it's this source of truth, which is what logistics was built upon all these hundreds of years in the past. So the documents will be substituted by this blockchain, which will ensure that the quality is maintained, but can then speed up all the processes that we have today in the supply chain. And we will use it for instance, the automation of the workflows, so the payment workflows, for instance. But also this can be used for creating insurance policies based on this single source of truth, as well as the provenance for, as we spoke already, the digital product passport. So it's really a means to create for businesses which sell today goods the real truth and the visibility and valid and trusted platform which consumers are in need for. So this is our platform today. We can showcase what's going on in terms of interactions between the different nodes in our blockchain, and also the events which are occurring inside this network. And this provides our customers the real-time visibility on what is going on within their supply chain.
Thank you so much, Armando. This was amazing presentation. So, as usual, questions. So, before we're waiting for questions from the audience, I would like to ask you. So, can you just share a little bit more on the industries you're working with, also more specifically, maybe with which companies?
Yes. So in terms of industries, we are working especially the agricultural sector. So here we are talking with meat producing. We are talking to cattle farmers. Here it's the farming association in the Azores Island, as well as a farming association in Portugal, which provides the cattle for this, which will be certified in this blockchain. It's food production. So in Portugal, there is a region, it's called Fundão. The sherries in Fundão, they will be registered into this blockchain. Actually, tomorrow we will showcase the first production batch, which was integrated into this blockchain in this year's harvest. Retail, which wants to know exactly what's going on and what is the provenance of the goods which they are selling. So this is a huge necessity that they have to guarantee the quality inside their supply chains. And then this can be then worked towards other use cases inside the global supply chains which are in need of this kind of solution. So we are talking to producers of luxury garments, as well as the chip industry, so computer components, which also need to be trustworthy and cannot be tampered with during the complex supply chains.
Any questions from the audience? There's actually one very interesting question, and I think that we can all participate in this one. So Ekaterina is asking, is there any sector these days where blockchain is absolutely useless?
Good question.
That's a good question. Yeah, let's I just will invite everyone to participate actually to this one. So please do share your, also raise a hand. So there's on the bottom, you can just raise a hand and we can chat about a little bit about that. Yeah, Armando, you can start maybe to elaborate a little bit.
I'm trying to think of a situation where you would not have the need for the use of blockchain. So you need the blockchain where you need to share data in a trustful way. So you need to generate trust. So you don't need a blockchain probably when you are working within internal data flows and where the databases that you are using are under your control. So if it's one organization, then probably a database can bring the benefits and also be cheaper in that use case, I believe, as a foundational technology.
Jose, you can also maybe participate. And I see that there is also, so Nate, I think also join us. So there is also some with very interesting thirds people. So just raise a hand.
Yeah. So the government stablecoin topic has definitely confused me for a good amount of time. I don't really understand the maybe somebody here does, but I feel like if anything, the purpose of stable coins is to create more stability and trust. And I think trust is definitely broken at a government and average citizen level. And so I don't really know what the governments are trying to accomplish through that other than what seems to be more control and visibility into where money is flowing. So I question whether the intent is pure or as pure as they make it seem. And I think with that skepticism will come very low adoption, in my opinion.
Okay, so I just wanted to highlight again our partners. So here is so just to show again and highlight everyone who've been so supportive for us. Okay, so thank you so much, Armando. That was amazing presentation. And actually, we did like on the registration. So we had over 200 people that registered for this event, and we asked it. We asked everyone one of the questions. So what particularly are you interested in terms of like use cases and what do you want to learn? And supply chain, that was most often that people actually ask it for. So it's very interesting use case. Thank you so much. And we are now moving to the amazing panel. All right. So moderated, so the panel is the future of blockchain in B2B, challenges and opportunities. So moderated by Nate Gaia. Hi, Nate. Hi again. We just had a meeting today, actually. This was in the morning. Nate, I give you the word. Please introduce
definitely.
yourself a little bit.
My name is Nate Geyer, co-founder of Mintbase. It's been around since 2018. We're now converting all of our learnings and kind of leaning into this new world of, we think every transaction can be built with AI. And so we're launching a new system called Bita.ai, which allows folks to do all that sort of stuff. So I'm really excited to hear a little bit about your portfolio companies, since this is a bit more focused about accelerator programs and managing other startups. And those startups are a bit more focused on the B2B side, is my assumption. So the answers are going to be a little bit more geared towards, what companies are you looking for in the space? What are they doing? Who are successful? What are the struggles? So if the panelists can go one by one and just sort of do a real quick introduction of themselves, maybe we start with Alex at Consensys.
Yeah, sure. I'm a little bit out of voice. My whole family is sick, so I hope you can understand me okay. So I'm with Consensys now for 2.5 years. I'm doing different programs that we have globally. The first one was a startup program which transitioned now into sort of like a dApp support program where we try to get great dApps to build on MetaMask and on Linea and reward them. And then also I do a lot in partnerships. So we have a really good program for venture capital partnerships, which is where we source the great dApps that go into the program and provide deal flow back. And also look after a few strategic accounts like Wallet Connect or Unity or Google. Yeah, happy to be here today.
Thanks. Go for it, Mr. Pedro.
Hey everyone, I'm Pedro, one of the partners at 500 Global. We're a multi-stage investment company. Happy to share what I know about this space later.
Okay, Lou.
Hi, I'm a co-founder of Crypto Oracle Collective. We're a Web3 advisory service started in July of 22 with 24 Web3 experts. We're now over 250, got a growing roster of clients, a trading token on Base. And this is week 9 of our AI Web3 accelerator.
Nice. And Atitulua, did I get that right?
Yes, can you hear me very well?
Yep.
Yes, great. Yes, you can call me Otito as well. Yes, indeed. So I'm part of PwC Belgium. I'm part of the Next Level team. So this is a team that has been set up to support startups in a variety of ways, helping them to fundraise. But more importantly, we also have our own startup accelerator, where we help startups to commercialize their innovation with corporates as well. We've also worked with a variety of blockchain innovations within this accelerator too.
Got it. So blockchain is difficult, right? B2B blockchain is also extremely difficult. Sales pipelines are difficult just in normal worlds where we're sort of communicating with other corporations to explain the legitimacy of our systems. So how long are some of your companies that you're overlooking? How long are their sales pipelines? What are some of their struggles? Onboarding other corporations in the blockchain must be just a beast of a thing. And then how do you sort of help guide those companies to close those deals? And what are some like successes you've seen to help those sales pipelines go?
So maybe I can join in from our own perspective. So indeed, like we do not invest, but we do have our own accelerator, and the goal of the accelerator is to connect the entrepreneurs to a lot of corporates. So I think one of the major challenges that we see with the Web3 startups that we collaborate with is the fact that they have a lot of struggles trying to scale. So the kind of companies we work with much more matured companies, so companies who are already generating some significant amount of revenues, and their primary struggle is actually enter new territories as well. And so they find a struggle trying to get into large companies, trying to onboard these large customers. And I would say that's the key struggles that I have observed working and trying to collaborate with some of the scale-ups that we try to work within the Web3 space.
For us, the journey was very different. So before Consensys, I was always in sales-related positions, like either sort of partnership, like channel sales or direct enterprise sales. And like there, you have a really clear playbook. You know, you do discoveries and stuff. There's a contract that you want to get signed, big wins, and so on. And ever since I moved to Web3, at least in my ecosystem, like the classic sales that I know from tech, like almost doesn't exist. It's like in Consensys, you know, we had a 10-person sales team, and all of them have been phased out into other teams. Like there's 0 people on commission contracts at the moment. Everybody's on a company plan. And I think that's like reflective of the Web3 space. And I was looking at this also, that like not, or less than, I would say, like 30% of companies still go and sell licenses or sort of contracts and SaaS in the traditional space, at least when you talk about pure play Web3 companies, I find. So it's like so much more driven by collaborations, by like marketing, especially. It's all like product driven marketing plays and stuff. Like where I almost see no sales anymore at all. I don't know if like that's just my lens into like but like such a big difference to the whole like Web2 space where like sales is king, and in Web3 I feel like sales is kind of dirty.
Well, even if you don't sign them to a contract, there is still generally a sales process involved. You know, I think, you know, one of the things that, you know, that we really try and help companies in our core with is, you know, partnerships, because, that's a key. Even if they're early stage, if they have solid partnerships, they can either be references when they go in to make sales or actually go in and sale together. And also in Web3, since we're so early, we really try and get the companies to foster on companies that are really active in this space. Don't spend your time, you could spend your whole life educating companies on the space who aren't going to do anything for a long period of time. So, try and spend your time with people who are really active in the space.
100%. Like all the sales efforts that I've seen to like pull large companies, since we're talking about B2B, into like blockchain products and like sort of make them like long-term customers, pretty difficult. Like it took so much longer still. Like we might be at an inflection point now where sort of the safety and the security and like the mass awareness also with the account abstraction stuff is there, so that like they make that move. But like I found it super difficult in the past.
Yeah, but one of the companies where we had yesterday speaking at the accelerator is Casper Labs, and they have an AI product for governance, and they're co-marketing it with IBM. And so they're able to get into, large enterprises, so much easier, obviously, with IBM than if they just went after them themselves.
Yeah.
Neat. AI, we can start talking about that. I'd love to dive in. So first part of the question is, do you guys have any portfolio companies that are leveraging AI now? What's sort of the impact of those? And then what are some new companies that are starting to apply to your accelerators that are doing some really interesting things with AI that you're excited to go? I know sometimes when people are pitching, you don't want to release the sauce, but if you can explain some new stuff that's coming out and what you're excited about in the AI blockchain combination, I would love to hear more on that. We're finding crazy success in being able to go out there, get all the information in the world, create the transaction and send that to any sort of blockchain. That's our sort of like big sauce. Curious to hear where you guys are seeing this sort of real stuff, not the, oh, we're talking about AI and it could be something. Like I want to, like things that are actually being built that we can play around with more or less today.
I have an interesting one, which is like fresh out of the kitchen. They're just going live right now. And I think one of the coolest, like sort of like actual use cases of where AI meets blockchain, and they're called as 6 degrees, as in sort of like 6 degrees of separation. And the high level story is, you refer, like people refer companies the whole time. Like you ask for a gym, and somebody tells you one, a restaurant, a vacation, whatever, like but people that share these things never get rewarded. Like it's only the 1% that essentially gets the influencers on social media, and the 99% of people creating these contracts not. So they created a solution, an app-based solution, where you can essentially, somebody asks you a question, you say, do you know about this or do you know about that? You ask the AI bot, hey, I'm looking for a great gym that offers yoga in this area. It will tell you, I have this for you. You pass that link on. So you basically get custom referrals like based on what you're looking for. And every time that, or the person that receives the referral from you, when they close a contract with that company and sign up to the gym or book the vacation or whatever, you get that all happens on the blockchain. So the attestations of sort of those things actually happening and transparent for everybody happens on like a blockchain. And then people get paid out significant money, based on the value of these referrals. And it pulls in the entire long tail that's on social media in like a super simple motion that takes like 3 seconds. So I was super impressed with them, and like sort of, there's so much like dumb stuff with AI and blockchain where they just like try to leverage kind of like that hot mix, but like nobody really gets it, or it's too niche or stuff. But this is sort of like right in the center of like applicable almost for everybody.
For me, the most interesting company at the intersection of Web3 and AI is Morpheus, which is decentralized AI. It's a whole platform. It was fair launch. And, they basically have 4 different ways that community members can help. And, every day today, based on the trading price of Morpheus, they're giving out more than, $1 million worth of tokens to people contributing to the ecosystem. So it's a super exciting project, led by David Johnson and, Eric Voorhees, two, Web3 OGs, and really seems to be getting a lot of traction.
Great. All right. Cycles. Let's talk about cycles. We're currently in another bull cycle, some would say. Every single cycle is fascinating, right? 2014, there was no B2B, right? We just had Bitcoin. And then the second cycle, we just had an ERC20 token launching mechanism. The third cycle, we just had like OpenSea and the Graph protocol, and you could barely build an app. This is kind of the B2B cycle, right? We now have apps that we can build. We can now really reach out to corporations, and they can actually listen because, we're seeing Coachella starting to accept ticketing through NFTs, and we're starting to see real legitimacy in the space. So it's your guys' time to shine. So what is the sort of new go-to-market strategies you're seeing for your portcos? Are they all launching tokens? Are they all, what's the way to really capture this energy to A, get use cases, and B, get that sort of funding cycle secured to last the next many years? Might as well start with Otto.
I think the way many of the startups or the scale-ups that we are working with are trying to enter the market, so to sort of leverage on is trying to collaborate with organizations having open innovation programs. So I think it's kind of classic in terms of how corporates would want to work with innovation in the past. But for the kind of corporates that we work with, many of them are relying on this strategy or betting on the strategy to help them to work more and more with corporates within this space as well. And that has been a strategy that we are working with as well. It's what we in PwC, at least in PwC Belgium, is how we are collaborating with our corporates within our network to collaborate with scale-ups with this kind of innovations.
Floor is open.
Yeah, I would say that for me, I look at things, and the kind of 2 different things going on. One is there's the market and the price of the tokens, and I always think I have a word that I use to describe the tendency of markets to swing between bubble and crash and bubble again. I call that capitalism. It's just what it does. And it seems and every bubble is bigger than the one before it. And it seems that we're at a crypto winter, and I think we're in the very early days of what's going to be the biggest bubble in the history of Web3. But I think what's far more interesting than that is from an operational standpoint, what's getting traction outside of finance today, and we're seeing early signs. But in my view, it's still kind of 93 internet before we got a browser, and it's still obviously incredibly hard to use. And we're still waiting for what I call the lazy Sunday moment. The video on the web was around for years, but it sucked because the pipes weren't fat enough. And then as the pipes got bigger and bigger, one day somebody uploaded a video called Lazy Sunday. It was a Saturday Night Live Andy Samberg video onto this tiny little website, and that website became the fastest growing website in the history of the world. And 6 months later, Google bought it for $1 billion, and that was YouTube. And for me, I feel like I'm sitting here in Web3 waiting for our lazy Sunday moment when somebody builds something that's super easy to use and that 1 billion people want.
We're at Mintbase. We started on Ethereum in 2018, and we switched to Near Protocol in 2020 with a really long-term vision that sharding is the future. And you're talking about the pipes, right? Solana is kind of hitting its pipe scaling world. We have another question for it later. But we're definitely excited to work on a chain that can skip. I'm skipping ahead. Let's keep with this one. Go ahead, Alex. What is this go-to-market strategy for B2B sales in this bull cycle?
Most of the companies, at least this year, they're all going for token launches. Like we have 50 projects or so in the program. And the absolute majority, if they haven't released a token, they're like working on it, because you really do have this 12 months, 18 months window where you have to fill your bags, and then you have to survive for a pretty long time. And maybe that changes this time. Like, I think it's one of the most interesting questions that also gets tossed around on podcasts and stuff so much, of like the fact that we have the Bitcoin ETF just like will make it rise continuously for like a much longer time, simply because it's being held up by all these inflows. But like until we know that, I think everybody kind of like calculates that by like mid next year things are decreasing again. And so like I support that. I think it's a fantastic way to give yourself like runway. It's you know, if you think about like how like it how if you put these options together about like going out and raising money, you can, and you do that with sales and stuff, that's obviously more sustainable. But like it's much easier during a hype cycle to do the token raises, and so I'm all for that. Obviously, a lot of them kind of go down again. To your point, Lou, like same story. Like, you know, like you have 10 companies, and like sort of 8 of them will eventually not make it past the 18 months, and that's just kind of like how we become better together.
So let's talk about the pipes. So I'm a technical founder. I can go as deep as you guys want, but I think that was a pretty interesting comment, Louis. So the landscape is crazy, right? EVM, kind of everyone sort of saw it as this awesome beginning, but now it's been fragmented to hell and back because it has a lot of fundamental issues. Solana said we're going to solve this, but they're hitting massive scaling issues because they said all the transactions in the world should happen under one big machine, and we just keep increasing that machine load. How do you think the best way forward for your companies to go, and where do you see them sort of going to help solve the scaling issues and the sort of speed issues and the cost issues? What are your sort of, some companies that are pitching you guys saying we're going to use this because it solves this, and it seems exciting to you? Do you see any sort of trends moving into a certain direction on a certain chain?
I think the most important part for the Web3 community to become like mainstream is for us to start talking more about the application layer and less about the foundational stuff. I understand we won't get to scale if we don't fix the foundational stuff, but I hear a lot of chattering about let's make this more efficient, let's make this more scalable, but we're often using that to solve problems that don't matter. So as a community, as a Web3 believer, and I am a believer, I think we need to start talking more to the audience that matters, which is the buyers of the solutions, not the builders of the pipes. Sorry if that's what you wanted to hear, but that's my take on it.
I sort of agree with Pedro on this as well, because I think one of the big discussion is all about how can we work more with B2B companies, and we do see a lot of we do collaborate with a lot of B2B companies in our side here, and I think the clients care less about the technology or what's behind it, but more about the application, especially when we work with companies that are really, I would say the word old school clients, and we're trying to help them to innovate. They really don't really care as to what technology drives that. They care more about the application. So I agree with Pedro in the sense that the discussion needs to be driven more around how can we solve these particular problems that these big companies have. Because right now we have to do a lot of educating a lot of the clients, and the ideas that we're trying to bring back, like say family-owned businesses or when I say family-owned, I mean family-owned companies that are maybe say 3,000 to 5,000 employees, right? Trying to innovate and use these new applications. So it's a big challenge. So I completely agree with Pedro's angle in the sense that yes, there might be challenges with the technologies, underlying technologies, but I think the conversation should be driven more into how can we solve these problems, and more of these companies to apply, use more Web3 solutions and blockchain solutions.
Yeah, I would also add to that what you said is exactly right. It's like sort of, the question is not like what is the best possible network I could choose, but like, am I doing it at all? Like sort of we're like 2 steps before that still in many cases. And in trust plays a huge role. Like if you heard the name Ethereum, I don't know, 300 times already in your life, and you know that's sort of like an established chain, like you might sort of, that might be more valuable to you than very cheap gas costs and like high throughput, for example, at least in the first like instance, until you become a little bit more versed.
Yeah,
And then
oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I share the same belief, but the goal is to abstract the chain, right? It's, can I claim an NFT and not even know what blockchain I'm on? How do I do that? And can I, if this blockchain is not working for me because I'm using this app and it keeps failing the transaction, you get peeved because it does that. Maybe you can switch to another network and do something similar, the same sort of action. I think we're getting closer to that, where we can use many pipes for many different things.
And you shouldn't see the pipes. I think that's the most, like, it's crazy how in the last 2 months, that whole discussion around account abstraction that was so big 2 years ago, it completely faded away, at least from my perspective. And now it just resurfaced all at once, right? Like Coinbase releasing the smart wallet, couple of other players. Everybody's talking about, like, yeah, actually nobody wants to do the Web3 stuff. They don't want to sign any transaction. To them, these like sort of nerdy steps that we all like and that give us pleasure, they're very scary. They think they do something wrong. And so, and that's kind of like, I think that's where the big battle is going to be won. Like when you see World of Warcraft or so, I'm just making dumb stuff up now, but you can trade items around and it all happens on the blockchain. You don't see the blockchain, and that's when, like, all of a sudden you have like 500 million more people that tune in.
Yeah, we're heading that as well, but human readable conversations where you can say, send 3 USDC to Mike, whatever, and you can just have normal conversations, texting assets like it's just a normal flow. Cool. I think that's the end of this. Anybody have any last words? Real quick. Nope. Neat. All right.
Questions, you can raise the hand. So there is on the bottom, you can just like click raise the hand and and we will unmute you to have a question.
Hey, I've got a question here. And it could be for anybody on the panel. I'm curious, what's your honest raw take on what enterprises are wanting to do in Web3? Are they just trying to do something to get attention, or are they actually trying to solve a true business need?
100% the latter from my side. So I was listening to the latest like Raoul Paul podcast yesterday, and like just somewhere in the middle he popped off a few use cases, and one of them was that he spoke about this commodity company called Louis Dreyfus, and they deal like oil, vegetable oil, flour, orange juice, eggs, but like all over the world, huge quantities. And they've been using blockchain technology for like 3 years already without like telling anybody, to stable coins, because like when you sell 5 billion eggs in Angola or some other country where like the currency isn't stable, like you need to sort of weigh that out. The entire supply chain sort of steps are on blockchains and stuff. I think there's quite a few companies for whom like these like super unsexy use cases are very like vital, and who already have them like implemented, and just as a database solution, without the whole Web3 culture behind it. Those will pop up more and more.
I think from PwC, we do a lot of work with global payments. And then we see a lot of enterprises within that space wanting to use more of blockchain technology. It makes a lot of sense there. So I think that is a place that is an area that we are very, very interested in, an area that we work a lot on. Actually, a lot of the startups and the scale-ups that we work within that space, the fintech space, anything that has to do with payments and a lot of insurance and things like that. So I do think indeed that there's a lot of companies actually trying to create real, are looking for real applications and just not necessarily using the term Web3 or blockchain just as a gimmick as well. But it's a thing that we are driving as well because we know that it's really, really important as well. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a follow-up question here too. Speaking about enterprises, where do you think we are in that spectrum of, from an enterprise perspective, pay me to run a pilot, like give me a grant, to willingness to pay for the actual value of the technology and whatever, blockchain can offer an enterprise?
Maybe I can speak to this because we do see a lot of enterprises looking to pay for pilot opportunities. That's why I said, like, when we were having a discussion about go-to-market and things like that, we still see that the classic open innovation program still works well. It might not work well for every application or every situation, but in our own case, it does work well. And we do see, especially in the insurance business, they are actively looking for a lot of opportunities, and they're actually paying startups to run pilot programs with them, at least in Belgium.
All right. I think that wraps it up, right, Violetta? Thanks, everyone, for chatting. Good to have you. Nice conversation. And we'll see you around. Bye.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.